Good morning, everybody. We need to talk about some things having to do with safety. One thing I said at orientation is that safety number one at the school over everything. Academics second, but your safety while you are here is priority for all of us. And that really means your emotional safety and your physical safety. Very, very important. So let's talk about a few things that each of our roles have to do with safety. So I'm Miss Flores, I'm the principal.
I'm Heather Garrison, I'm one of the assistant principals.
And I am Officer Hall with Louisville Police Department. I am your school resource officer.
So kind of together, and with all the staff, we're in charge of your safety here at Kilo. One thing we do that we could think of right away that we do for safety is we each wear a name tag. Miss Garrison's is on her waist. You just can't see it right now, but it's there. Officer
Mine
Hall,
is sewn
permanent.
on, so.
And y'all wear IDs. So we wear those every day for a couple of reasons. We have a lot of people coming in and out of this building from other campuses. And when you go over there, we want them to know who you are, so that's important. You wear those each and every day here at Kilo. The other things that we do that are probably priority, it really takes all of us to keep this building safe. You're going to know things sometimes before we know them. Probably most times you're going to know things if there's unsafe things here, be it drugs, fights, gang stuff, whatever. But we are all in charge of our safety here. And y'all know that you can email me, you can direct message me on Twitter, but there's a lot of ways to get a hold of us. But we're going to talk about when you email and when you don't, because I think that's come up. I knew you were thinking that, Officer Hall. Don't email if there's like a stranger that just come in the building. But we're going to talk about those situations in just a minute. But just unsafe areas, or if you notice something at block lunch, I've had many kids, Officer Hall too, come up to us and they're just kind of passing and say there's about to be a fight right there. And they just kind of keep going, give us a little information. We always keep your, when you tell us something, safe. We don't ever tell people how we knew that. But no, it's going to be all of our responsibilities if there's something dangerous going on here. Whether it's fights, weapons, etc. Let's talk about doors at the school. And Officer Hull's going to expand on it a little bit. We ask that you only go out these middle doors. That means none of the other doors. Because what if I go out to get on the bus and I leave it unlatched? Well, that's a weak spot for us. And then a bad person, scary person comes up, they can get in the building. Last year we did have someone try to get in the building, or maybe it was over the summer actually, but that knocked on the door and wanted to get in. We never let people in. Any door. Not me, not Miss Garrison. I don't know about Officer Hull. She could probably get in if she needed to get in, don't you worry. But if someone knocks on the door for any reason, late bus, I'm outside to get locked out, they need to come to the front office. We don't let people in this building. They don't get in the cafeteria because they need to check in. We have a system in place for that. I want to go back to the IDs for a second. You might not have noticed, but our IDs are gray. Harmon's and ours. Main campus is maroon. That's so we know our main campus kids, and we know when you're over there that where you're from, okay? So there's a reason those are color-coded. So when we exit, main doors only, these two side doors. People like to go out that gym door down there, like by the dressing rooms. Do not do that. And let me tell you when you like to go out there, or for our buses at the end of the day, and for soccer during block lunch. We're not going out those doors for the same reason. If we leave it unlocked or something, we don't do that. So I want y'all to always go out these main doors. So if you'll follow that, I would appreciate it. And all of our doors stay locked here if they're empty. So if you come across the lecture hall and it's unlocked, I would love for you to email me that, because it should be locked, because I don't want anyone bad staying in there, and then I don't want us going in there and doing bad things. That could happen. The kind of rule around here is, and you'll hear it during block lunch, nothing good happens where there's no adult. It just doesn't, pretty much. So if you go in the table sports room and no adult's there, you're to wait outside until the person that's on duty gets there. You're not to be in classrooms without teachers. You're not to be in the weight room without teachers. You're not to be anywhere in this building without teachers. So just something to be aware of. And we'll turn it over to Officer Hull, and then we can talk about this together, because she's going to kind of tell you some more great things going on this year that she wants you to watch for. There's really 3 times we ask you to tell an adult when things are going on, having to deal with people's emotional side or their physical safety. Officer, if I forget one or mess this up, will you jump in, please? Because I often mess this up. One thing you need to tell one time is when someone's going to hurt themselves. If anyone tells you, let's say Miss Garrison and I are friends, we are friends, but let's pretend we're kids, and I say, I just don't think I can carry on, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't want to be here anymore. You need to email me or a counselor and say, or come in the office and say, I'm worried about Miss Flores. Something's going on with her. I know that's hard for you. That would be hard for me if Miss Garrison told me that. But it's not your place to decide whether they're telling the truth or not. None of these scenarios I'm going to tell you, you don't need to worry about it. We won't tell people who told us, but we need to look into it.
Even if you've said, I won't tell me what's going on, I won't tell anyone, I know it's hard to say, you feel like you're not keeping your word, but their ultimate safety is a lot more important than that. And so, even if you feel like you've said, I won't say anything, but you really are concerned about a student's safety, or harming themselves or doing something, then you need to let us know.
So that's the first one. Someone tells you they're going to harm themselves. That's important. And really taking drugs is harming yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to remember that, because we've had to call the ambulance. We've had the situation. So, I know that's hard too, to tattle. But that is dangerous. So that's one case. If someone's hurting you, you need to tell. Because we don't want you to be hurting. And then the other case is if yourself hurting you, or if someone tells you they're going to hurt others. So I come in and say, I'm just going to bring a weapon and hurt Miss Garrison later. If you overhear that, you need to tell. Because again, please don't filter through and say, they won't. It's Officer Hull, she wouldn't hurt anybody, or it's Miss Garrison. Just know, no matter how sweet and nice, and these kids are in AP classes, it doesn't matter. You need to come tell. We had a situation one time where like 20 kids knew and didn't tell. And I thought, why didn't we tell people? So those are kind of the 3 times we want you to come tell someone you're comfortable with. Officer Hull is going to talk. I want her to add all her great information, but I want to tell you something about Officer Hull. We're very lucky to have a resource officer like Officer Hull. She is tough as nails when she needs to be. So please don't hear me say that she is soft, because she is not. I know this. But she's also very kind and supportive when she needs to be. And her office is right here in the main hall by the stairs. And that's there for a reason. She asked to move there so that she was accessible to you. So if something's happening in your personal life, or someone's hurting you, or someone's hurting someone you know, she's going to give you some really good advice on that. So know that. That's just something I want to say about Officer Hull. But she is tough, and I wouldn't mess with her if you get in that situation. But also a very good resource. What do you have to add, Officer Hull?
I just want you guys to know my main function, a large part of it is what Ms. Flores has been talking about, building security. You will see me walking around outside, checking doors. You will see me come rattle doors in your classrooms, because the teachers are required to keep their doors locked with a magnet in place. So you're going to see me around checking the building security physically. Obviously, don't let anybody into the building. Even if it's a student that's currently here, they're required to come to the office and check in. So you don't know what's going on with that student that day. Maybe they show up late and they want to sneak in through the cafeteria or something, or they've been gone all morning. You don't know what they're doing. So make sure they go about the right procedure and they check in through the office. My function, the other side of it, is enforcement. I don't handle school discipline. That's their bag. That's their
right.
wheelhouse. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I am concerned about any crimes that are occurring. Ms. Flores mentioned where my office is. I'm right across from the snack sales area, right by the main stairwell, and you guys are welcome to come in and talk with me. Everything that is said to me in my office is confidential. I don't tell where I heard something from. I'm incredibly good at that. So don't feel like you can't come in and talk with me. If you need incentive, I have a candy jar, so come on in and steal some candy and come talk with me. My goal is to build a rapport with the student body. I want to talk with you guys. You're going to see me in your classrooms doing presentations. That's a large part of my function here. It's the part that I love the most because I get an opportunity to meet you guys in a smaller setting. I'm also, just so you know, I'm also going to be rolling out a program here in the next couple of weeks called Tip 411. It is a program that exists currently through our city. We are adapting the program to have specific locations, and the schools are each going to have their own location. You'll hear more about this in the coming weeks because I'm going to, hopefully with approval, put out an announcement about it, and you're going to see some posters about it. It is the most completely confidential application that there is out there right now, and we designed it that way intentionally. So it is a tip that will come to me directly. I won't know where it came from. So the student has complete anonymity. Don't abuse it, but it's there for a reason. So if you don't feel comfortable coming in to talk with me, you can tip something to me, and I will get that as well.
I think that's all I have.
I think that's probably enough for now from me. So,
but we're very lucky to have Officer Hull, and please use her and talk to her and get some candy. I didn't know that, so now maybe I need to go in her office. Miss Garrison is in charge of safety role here as far as discipline, but also drills and how we're going to conduct those. I can tell you we take that very, very serious. When we practice as if it's real, because if there really was a scenario, I want you to be safe and get out of this building. We have drills during the day, lockdown, tornado, fire drill, and we will have block lunch drills. Because if anything were to happen in block lunch, I want you to know what to do. So Ms. Garrison's going to tell you a little bit more about that and what we expect out of you during drills, because one's coming up.
That's right. So we'll start with fire drills. Those are the ones that we're probably most familiar with. We do the most. And I know they get really old, and you guys, really take them for granted. And it's like, oh, it's no big deal. It's just a drill. Here it goes. But it's really important that you know in every classroom what route you're going to take to evacuate. If you're upstairs, which stairwell are you going to take to go down? If it happens to be blocked, what would be the second best route to evacuate, things like that. So it's going to be really important that in your classrooms, if your teacher isn't talking to you about it, which I bet they probably are or going to be very quickly, that you make sure you ask about that. There also should be a map in every room that will also kind of show exactly where you're going to go for that evacuation. So during evacuation, you want to follow your teacher's instructions. You want to exit the building as quickly as possible. It does matter. How much time it takes really does matter, even if it's on a drill. And you want to make sure that you're following teacher's instructions and that you're staying very quiet, because if something happens and there's a change in what direction you need to go, you find out that there's a blocked door, your teacher needs to be able to tell you, okay, Miss Garrison's class, turn around, we're going to go this way. And you need to be able to hear that. If you're just kind of walking around talking with your earbuds in your ear, that kind of stuff, you're not going to know that's what you're doing or that's what you need to do. So definitely, if it's fire drill or any kind of drill, no earbuds whatsoever, obviously, because you need to be able to hear everything. Don't talk. Stay quiet. I know it seems silly. I know it seems really humdrum because you do it so much, but you still want to make sure that you're paying attention and you're doing it quickly to evacuate. Once you're outside, you need to make sure you're with your teacher. She's going to check roll. She's going to make sure everybody's accounted for. So we want to make sure that you're where you need to be, and we can account for all of our students. That's for your fire drills. That happens about once a month. Don't necessarily know when it's coming, but just so you know, you will have quite a few of those. It happens about once a month. The other kind of drill that we do, not as often, is what we call shelter in place or the tornado drill. It seems like in the last few years we've had more and more opportunities to have to use those, or almost have to use those, so it's important that we're familiar with those as well. Again, you want to be aware, for every classroom you're in, every place you're going to be in the building, you want to know where you're going to go in case of a shelter in place or tornado drill. Again, if it goes off or we come on the announcement and say, teachers, we need everyone, we're doing a tornado drill, or we need everyone to shelter in place, that means there's something going on with the weather, something going on that we need to do that, so you need to take that seriously. You want to follow your teacher's instructions, go to the location of the safe area that your class has been assigned, and you want to just sit down. If at that point it became very dire and very important and we told you to actually duck and cover at that point, I know you guys have done that enough in your time that you know what that means, then you would actually want to bend over, put your hands over the back of your head and duck and cover, just like your teacher says, or if you heard it on the announcement. This, you also need to be quiet, because there's many times if the weather's bad and it gets to a point that we need to really go into a duck and cover, there's a good chance that the announcements won't come on. The electricity might already be off. So we've got to be able to get that communication down the hallways as quickly as possible. If you guys are all talking, that's not going to happen. So please, again, follow your teacher's instructions, remain quiet throughout the drill. The third kind of drill that we're going to be doing are lockdown drills. These started a few years ago. I'm sure you guys have been in some of them. What we're doing here is we're practicing in case there's an intruder. If there's some type of announcement, something that lets you guys know that we need to go into a lockdown, you want to make sure the door's going to be closed and locked without the magnet so that it's safe. You want to turn the lights out. And all of the students in the classroom need to be in an area that's away from a window where you can't be seen through a window, exterior or interior, and that you remain very quiet. The whole purpose is to give an intruder the impression that that classroom is empty. So if they hear lots of rustling around or whispers, or they see a lot of cell phone lights and things like that, it's not going to do any good. And that brings me to another thing about the cell phones. In all of these drills, no cell phones. We're not going to be on the cell phones. We're not going to be texting out.
Please don't tweet about it.
Right. Even if you think, even if you're scared, even if if you don't realize it's a drill, or you think something's going on, or maybe it's not a drill, it's really important for you not to be on your phone. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to keep you safe. We're going to do what we need to do. So please don't be on your phone. Don't be tweeting out. Don't be, messaging your friends in other rooms, things like that.
If I can add something with regards to that, that's kind of where my role steps in quite a bit with lockdown drills. You guys all have families that love you, and as soon as you text a family member or tweet something out, they're going to come screaming up here. Look at it from a logistics standpoint. I also have my people on their way screaming up here, and they need to be able to get through. So we don't want 1,000 families to come up here to try and rescue their kid. We're going to handle it. I promise you, we're going to keep you safe. But once you start letting everybody in the world know, hey, we're in lockdown, that creates kind of a nightmare on my back end of it, just because I've got all of these people that need to be able to respond to keep you guys safe, and I don't want massive amounts of people coming up to the building as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So during the lockdown, that's where you're going to be. You're going to be in a classroom. If for some reason we do a lockdown, and we'll talk more in detail about where to go or what to do if we're in a lockdown during passing period or block lunch. But generally speaking, if you're not in a classroom and it comes on to be a lockdown drill or just a lockdown, you're not sure what it is, you want to get to the nearest room as quickly as possible. Whatever room you're next to, that's where you go. If it's a bathroom, if you're in the bathroom, you're going to stay in the bathroom, you're going to be up, in the stall, that kind of stuff. So we'll talk more in detail about that kind of thing. But the bottom line is, if it's a lockdown drill, you just don't need to be in the halls. You need to be out of the halls, out of sight, and just stay there until somebody comes and tells you it's over.
And very quickly, because they lock their doors quickly. So if you were in the bathroom, man, I would fly out and go right next door. So that, because once they lock the door, they don't open it. No matter what, we drill that and practice that. So cell phones, very important. I don't remember where it was, but it was someone I knew, and the kids tweeted some misinformation, and it caused the law enforcement to go a different way. That was very costly. So please, I'm begging you, don't do that. That would be very, very dangerous. Know that if we ever have a drill at the end of the day, I've been several times, 2 solid at the end of the day, 1 at delay and 1 since I've been the principal here, where we had to go into the end of school. We stay. If there's a tornado out there, you're not going to be dismissed, guys.
Right.
Your parents are not going to come get you. I don't care about football practice. I don't care about anything. You are staying where you are. Twice that's happened, so don't worry. If we go over, we go over. I can tell you on lockdowns, if it's medical, I tell you that. I need us to go ahead and get in the classrooms and lock our door. We're having a medical situation. It could just be someone hurt themselves. We have to call 911. Could be a block lunch.
It could be something not related to this campus at all.
Oh,
We're
good
occasionally notified by the community that there is a dangerous situation outside of the school grounds that we need to lock down for. We still need to maintain our safety protocol.
So when it's those type of drills, I usually say we're locking down, but we don't need to go into full lockdown. But that means we keep teaching, but we're locked down. No one's in the hall. We don't want anyone in the hall. But a real lockdown, everything stops. We get quiet. The things are covered, etc. So we would hope we never face that situation. But, we want to be prepared in case we did. I believe Kohl's is, if anything were to ever have like a chemical spill, Kohl's, we would walk to Kohl's.
Kohl's is our official reunification spot, meaning everybody eventually will be evacuated over to that location, which is where you will be put back together with your parents. So that's where families will be directed to go reunify with their students.
So I just want to throw that out there because that is our place that we would all go if we needed to. But proud to say that Kilo is, I think, one of the very safest schools for a lot of reasons. Great teachers. Officer Hull, we're strict on discipline. I think we just don't do some of the crazy things other schools do. But if you ever feel unsafe for any reason, mentally or physically, you need to let us know right away because we love you and we're all here to help you and help your friends. And that goes for bullying, that goes for physical safety, emotional safety. So,
and also, just so you know, if you're on the bus or at a bus stop, a place where the bus picks you up,
very good.
That's just an extension of our school. So if something's going on there on the buses or at the stop, I've been in situations where students have felt like, people are watching them or following them to the bus stop, like walking and stuff like that. That's absolutely part of what we need to know. Anytime, anything that has to do with school, from the time you leave your door in the morning until the time you come back to your door in the evening, if there's something going on that's affecting you negatively and making you feel unsafe, please let us know because that's absolutely something that we want to know and we can take care of.
Because we want you to have a really great year. So I feel like we've covered that and we will keep talking about it throughout the year. But any questions, feel free to come to us. Teachers, you're welcome to talk about it for a minute. And if there's some questions, email us. We would appreciate it. So I hope you have a great year. Thanks for keeping our school as safe as it could possibly be. You're the reason it's safe. You're the reason because you let us know and you behave really great. So have a great year, everybody.